G'day, guys. Welcome back to the Supercoach Swordplay podcast. It is season 4, episode 7. I'm here with my brother, Janath. Unfortunately, our other brother, the other very, very important man to run this podcast with us, unfortunately can't be here tonight. Spilsy is just snowballed, super busy at the moment. So he does give his apologies. We do have his quick round review, though. We'll go through some of his trades. So you won't miss out on that. But unfortunately, you won't get to see his beautiful smile tonight. However, I am here with my other good brother, Janath. Mate, how you been? How's life going? And how's the Supercoach team going, buddy?
Yeah, good. Everything's going well. Just looking forward to just the wintry months of the AFL season. It sort of culminates in a low. It's just brilliant. Like as a neutral watching the Anzac Day game, it was a brilliant spectacle to watch that. Unfortunately, the Blues couldn't get up on Saturday, but I tell you what, we look up for the fight, and you could just tell from the way Vossi speaks, he expects us to be there at the pointy end. And to the Geelong supporters out there, I really do hope we get to meet. We meet again late in the season, but I hope we get to meet in September as well. That would be pretty epic. Supercoach wise, awesome. Did okay. Like I know we'll get into our round reviews, but 22.90 for me this week. It's not great, and really let down by the Saint boys in Marshall and Steele, and also for that matter of fact, Hugo Garcia just didn't deliver on field. Darcy Wilson did. It was about the rookies. They were the only real shining lights. Holden McKercher paid off big time because I've got him. I had him emergency, so I could get him on field as well. But yeah, that role change with Sheasel, McKercher, revolving door with that North Melbourne backline. Sam Darcy survived last week. He was going to be on the chopping block this week, but he sort of gets an extended stint now as well. So it almost comes to the fact is who do you trade out this week to get an upgrade? But VC gone, just lock it in every week. It feels like he's just on another level this year, back to playing as the solo ruck. So did slide down to 3K now, but let's hope that we can bounce back this week, mate. Yourself, how are you going?
Yeah, well, look, just super busy, mate. I don't think I've ever been as busy in my life, it seems. And I think the reason is I've always had the two boys. Now there's a third son there, and he's 18 months old, and he's a lot more demanding now. He doesn't just sit there like like a little nothing. He's active. He's up and about, mate. And the boys are obviously got their sport. Well, not Nash is having a bit of a break, obviously, but Maxi's in his footy, basketball teams, boxing, all the other things that he does, mate. But super busy. However, enjoying life, mate. Things are going well, apart from just being absolutely flat out. But before I get into my round review, mate, we take a look at Spilsy's. We can see the great man actually on the screen. Now, there's the three of us there. We have some very, very exciting news. We've already posted this on X, but for the people maybe that aren't on X, very exciting news, Janath. We can officially announce that the supercoachswordplay.com website is launched. We are now up and about, and I tell you what, very, very proud of this, mate. We are very humble people, the three of us, but it's an achievement that we are honestly very, very proud of. We couldn't have got here without all of the fantastic support from the community, and that's what we always say, mate. We are here where we are because of the fantastic support that we get from everyone else, mate. So, look, you put this absolute beauty together. I just don't have the technical skills. We can see there the chiller, the stats man, and the teacher. But tell us a little bit about us, mate. So, you've got, obviously, the latest links to the Swordplay pods. We'll obviously get our round reviews. We can get some data, can't we, from the third man up?
Yeah, so if you just scroll a couple to the right, if you just go down, there should be a couple of arrows below that DR. There at the bottom there, 1 out of 3. So if you just scroll a couple to the right, one more. Let's go one more. You can and you click on latest article. If you click on the latest article, you get the latest data. So it hasn't been updated for this week just yet. Ross and I have got to put it together. Sorry, it's not fully zoomed in, but it looks okay on phone. It looks good on mobile, on tablet, whatever. But I think the pinnacle of this website really lies with the catalog. So if you go to the catalog there, DR, all our products. So we got 6 of them at the moment. We got the beanie, the hoodie, the notebook, the pullover, stubby Holden, the t-shirt. We're so excited for them to come out. And we've already got 10 orders. We've got at least 10 orders. So it's been just an absolute whirlwind of a couple of days for DR, Spills, and I to actually launch this off the ground. The first orders have already been shipped out as well. We've got raving reviews. And for anyone that purchases, we're going to be doing what's known as a Wall of Fame. And so every single episode of the podcast we have, you guys send in the photos, you're going to make it into the podcast with our merch on. Send us a photo, and we're going to have the biggest collage that you'll ever see. All right. So we're looking forward to that. So for anyone that's ordered anything, once it comes in straight away, first thing you got to do, grab a photo, post it. And I think this is the big news. So yes, it's really important to us that this is a way that you guys can show support to us for the data that we provide and everything. But we want to stay grounded to our roots. And one of the first things that DR, Spills, and I talked about when we wanted to start this merch line was that we want to give back to those that haven't been as fortunate as ourselves. And this specifically speaks to me. I was very, very ill when I was younger, often was in the hospital days on end. And so the Good Friday appeal run by the Royal Children's Hospital really means a lot to me. And so for every $5, for every beanie that's purchased, we'll be donating $5 to the Good Friday appeal. Yes, Good Friday's passed, but it's a continual year-round thing. It's not just on Good Friday. And so we're going to be supporting the Royal Children's Hospital. And so when you guys purchase one of our beanies, just know that you'll also be donating $5 within your purchase. So it's not out of it or anything. $5 of every purchase will be going to the Good Friday appeal. So we've already sold 8 beanies, as you can see there. So that number will continue to tick up as we sell more. And we're looking forward to you guys donning these beauties during these cold, wintry months ahead.
Excellent, mate. Very well said. And yeah, it is a cause that's very close to our hearts. And Janath, I haven't actually told you about this, mate. I completely forgot pre-podcast. But I've actually got a good mate at school that I work with, that I teach with, that is right into all the Comic-Con type stuff. And he's got some professionally made costumes. And what he actually does is he actually goes to the children's hospital and visits all the, unfortunately sick kids. He's got a Mad Robin outfit that he's got. I'll have to send you some photos. So I thought, what a great idea, mate. We might get Steve to go in one of his superhero costumes and actually try to hand deliver this some way, or we could think of other things, mate. Even buy some presents with it. We haven't even talked about what we're actually going to do, whether or not we just donate it, look for individuals. There's so many things that we could do with it. But my mate Steve is absolutely willing to help out with this. And wouldn't it be a kick having Batman or Robin delivering this into the children's hospital, mate? So,
but just with that, thank you to everyone that's already purchased something. So it's without even the podcast being out yet, the fact that you guys have gone out, taken the initiative to purchase something. And so, DR, Spills, and I, we're really, really excited for this venture. It took a long time. I'll tell you what, there was some summer months where I'm like, Janath, bloody hell, this website's just the bane of my existence, bane of DR's existence at the moment. So we got there. We've got there, and that's exactly it.
Very well done, mate. As we said, it's finally up and about, which is fantastic. So super exciting there, mate. And thank you to everyone that has purchased. I didn't want to give you a shout out just in case you maybe weren't comfortable with it. But certainly if you are, let us know. And more than happy to give a shout out. And obviously you will be on the Wall of Fame as well, which is fantastic. But housekeeping out of the way, mate. Let's get right into it. Now, we have heard a little bit about your round review. Was there anything that you wanted to add to that, mate, while we've got this visual up on the screen? Then I'll get onto mine and quickly into Spills, brother.
Yeah, I'm just a little bit disappointed with the fact that, was that 2K, was inside the top 2K, and then all it takes, it's really hard to it feels like it's really hard to put together a really good week. I feel like someone's always letting me down. And now it's been back-to-back weeks of Rowan Marshall. Is probably the worst trade-in I've ever made, includes Callum Mills' 5-point disaster last year. But it's just the ramifications of the fact is if I just held Grundy and didn't go for Marshall, I'd probably be getting English this week. I wouldn't be down 2 trades because I'm probably going to have to trade Rowan Marshall now. And so it was just a complete calamity of errors. But that's enough from me, mate. You and Spills, you guys both did better this week. Go on.
Mate, for once, I think this is the first time, just the weekly, you've actually been at the bottom of the pod. So unfamiliar territory for you, my friend. I've
Unfamiliar
been sort
territory.
of around the middle most weeks. But just quickly on that Romo trade, do you remember back to the phone call we had about 45 minutes before the start of that game, and you were that close to getting Matty Rao into your side,
Yeah,
mate? It was Rao or
yeah.
Sarong over Marshall. Do
It
you remember that?
hurts. It
You
hurts.
you
Yeah,
think about, and I don't want to bring it up, but the reason why I do is it really highlights one or two. When I say small decisions, that it was a big decision at the time,
yeah,
and everything was leading to that Rowan pick. It made sense,
yeah.
current form, so
It
you
did.
can't beat yourself up on it. But
And
doesn't
yeah,
one decision lead to so
such a
many
cascade.
decisions after that? It's like a domino effect in a way, isn't it, mate? When something doesn't quite go right with the premium in.
And just with that, mate, like it's the perfect example of where backing your gut fails. But I will continue to do that because if you don't back your gut in, then that's when you're like you just regret it fully. Like right now, I regret picking Marshall, but I don't regret the thought process to get in there. And so even
Absolutely.
now, last week, calculated risk, got in Jordan Sweet because I knew that this week I'd need to get in Tom Green. And I didn't, I would probably need a boost. And because I saw how I saw how Rowan went, it means that I could have that flexibility to get in a rookie, get in another big mid. And last week, I didn't settle for Walsh. I didn't settle for Dawson. I went right to the top, got in Sarong. So it was
Nice.
Sarong, Hugo Garcia, Jordan Sweet for Dempsey, William Sanders. I think the other part of it as well, this is just the calculated way. When you see that 5-man bench for Geelong, you're thinking Dempsey's probably the sub here. The
Yeah,
last thing you want is him
yeah,
coming on in the fourth quarter, scoring a 10 and just completely
absolutely.
tanking his cash gen.
Yeah, yeah.
So did that trades wise, really good, but yeah, just the team, it just feels like it just can't. They just don't stick all together in 1 week.
I feel you, mate. I feel you.
Yeah,
Look, I had, I was top of the pod just for the weekly with a
yeah,
23-22, but you can see there was a 32-point range. So
yeah.
very, very close with each other at the moment, mate.
That's it.
But look, yeah, season rank 3-6-4-5. My trades were out Sanders and out Massimo. In
Good,
Garcia,
good.
and I won't go through this story again. Check out my round review. I ended up with Sam Walsh after on the live
It's not
all
bad.
week saying I'm anti-potting this bloke. I'm worried about his back. I'm big on Dawson. Dawson's a man for me. Don't ask me how I ended up with Sam Walsh. There is a story behind it. So feel free to check out my round review for that one. I won't bore you there. But yeah, just sort of floating around at the moment, mate. The only thing that's really keep me positive at the moment is I am always thinking back to last year being such a disaster, which is keep me still with a positive mind frame or mindset at the moment. So all good, things could be worse, but it does just seem like I'm floating around at the moment, mate. A few underperforming primos. Most frustrating thing is that lots of my big boys, people can actually jump on as a bit of a bargain. I'm talking about your Bonts, your Tom Green
Yeah,
type.
that's it.
We might get to Jack Steele in a sec, but yep, that's my rapid round review, mate. You can see Spilsy here in the 2300s. Nice work, son. 2303 for Spilsy there. Total score 14605 with a season rank 7927. Not actually sure off the top of my head what his trades were, but he can certainly fill us in with that next week, brother. And if we do look at the top of the pod chart here, again, it's pretty much the same, mate. You are
Yeah.
up there at the top. I've made a few
We're
points on
going
you
toe
this
and
week.
toe, mate.
I tell you
We're
what,
going toe and toe every week. Every week.
I'm climbing, mate. I'm coming to catch you here. So Janath 14,757,3042. I'm sitting there in second, 14,732, 3645. And then Spilsy going to make a big comeback, got a feeling this week.
Yeah.
14,605 with a rank 7927. So you can see within 150 odd points, we're talking, geez, what's it? Almost 5,000 ranks. So that's how close it
But
is this year.
do you know what, mate? This week I want both of you boys on that podium because this isn't a week about the difference. This is a week about this has truly been a really special week with you two boys. So that's really it, mate.
You are a good man, mate. All right, let's stop the happy talk, mate. Into my rant. I am spewing. The bloke, Janath, has done it to me again. I said he was a must-have, and he's made me look like an absolute fool, this man. I said he's back to the Jack Steele of old. He's running well, just getting from contest to contest. He's still strong. He's still got that bull-like ability. He's tackling well. What is the man not doing? He's even hit the scoreboard a few times this year, Janath. There was nothing that I disliked about this man's game. If you look at his history, back to that big year, you think, yeah, I think he can do it again. The main man in that St Kilda midfield, everything was just hunky-dory. I've had him for 4 weeks. Got 2 140s, and I tell you what, was I patting myself on the back, Janath? Was I patting myself on the back?
The early crow.
Distance, having a little bit of a laugh at those that still didn't have the great man, the man of steel in their side. But as you can see from the visual, mate, the kryptonite is back. The kryptonite is back. He's just not looking good. Now, I only found out about this literally 5 minutes before we started recording here, mate. Can you tell us about the news that's come about with Jack Steele in the last, couple of hours, mate?
Well, it's been reported by Andrew McCormack from on the news that Jack Steele and Rowan Marshall have missed main training with the Saints, which, I mean, that's just brutal. Because you know what you're missing on that photo, DR? A big knee bandage on that left knee of Jack Steele.
It looks shocking though, right? I even tried like a mummy's head type thing, but it just didn't work.
Well, no wonder he couldn't run. They put the whole bloody elastoplast tape on him.
Where did it come from though, mate? Was he sore the week before? Did you notice anything?
I didn't notice anything.
The week before?
But apparently during the week last week, he was talking to the trainers about his knee or something, and you can't get worn down 7 weeks into a season, right? So
it's not good, man.
It's really annoying, and they've got the last bye as well, so it's not as if he can just rest it up for 1 week unless we're going to cop it one way or another. He's either not going to score properly, or he's going to get in, or he's going to sit out a week. It just feels like a lose-lose situation unless he can overcome it this week, just take a day off training, that sort of thing. But we'll obviously just have to wait and see. It's a prime matchup against North. He's got a good record against North. If he's free of injury, he's a VCC contender, but you can't really go that fast just yet, given this issue.
You don't think he's a trade? Get out of Dodgeville now? Like at the price with the injury? How concerned are you? So on a rating of 1 to 10, because I'm at about I must admit, mate, I'm getting a 7.5 moving on 8 with this pick at the price.
2 weeks ago, DR, you would have said he's a top 5 mid.
Absolutely. I had him, absolutely. I had him must have on the stocky. Must have.
Yeah.
He's back.
So the only thing that's changed is we don't know. We don't know what this injury is. It could be soreness. He could be playing with ligament damage. You wouldn't play him with ligament damage. So I think you give him North, you give him Hawthorn. The fixture in the next 5 games, they play North, Hawthorn, and West Coast. You got Freo and Melbourne in the middle there.
You could see
both those games are in Melbourne. If he's okay, those 5 games are really good. Just not litmus tests. They're the opposite of a litmus test, as in he should have a good enough floor in those games where if he's playing, I don't see a world where you trade him out. But there's a certain world where you do trade him out. It just feels very sideways if you're going anywhere across without more information about the injury.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
If there is one.
Yeah, I can see this, like the decision to trade or not trade.
Yeah.
I'd go as far, and we just look just with our top of the pod there, how there's not much separating anyone, mate, at the moment. So I've got a feeling that this decision, if you do decide or don't decide to trade this man out, could be season defining. I think this is really big because if you're someone that gets out of the pick now, you spend up a little bit more and get your Zerrett before his great run, or your Matt Rao, your Sarongs, one of those 3 I really like, and they continue to go, the 130 type range. And this bloke goes his 75 to 80s, just soldiering on, continuing through that injury. You are up so much, and he's going to plummet, mate. So another dodgy game, and I'll tell you what, big concern. So it's a massive decision. I personally don't think it's as easy as just saying, and I know you're not saying this, but for the people just thinking, oh, well, North this week, we'll give him another week.
Yeah.
Oh, it's big decision time for me on Jack Steele, and it comes
I
down to
agree.
gut feel because we haven't got the info, mate, do we? There's no time frame. We don't even know if there's anything officially there. I don't think he's on the official injury list. So
He's not.
it was a rant turning
Neither
into a
is
bit of a
Marshall.
discussion because I think he's a big discussion this week, mate, because lots of people own him. I've got a feeling he's the highest owned midfielder above 500k in the top 1 to 5%. I could be making that up, but I've got a feeling just from looking at that the other week. So it is a big decision. And look, it's going to be a gutsy move to get out of the pick. But if you can, if you can even, do you wait and maybe go a Trac at a reasonable price and sideways if he really looks bad? There's lots of things you can do, but I think that you've got to ask yourself the question, any Jack Steele owner at this stage, how confident am I? And is it worth biting the bullet and moving him on?
Yeah.
So we'll talk about some of the blokes very
He's
soon,
the
mate.
fourth, mate.
We may look into.
You were close enough, mate. Tom Green, 80%. So this is top 1%. Tom Green, 80%. Sam Walsh, 73%.
Wow,
Bont at 72, and then Jack Steele at 70.
Top 4. Okay, mate. Yeah. Well, it might have been actually at the time. It might have even been. He might have actually been that because it might have been a couple of weeks ago. I think, mate. Obviously before the big Welsh dog. So, yeah. Look, it's an interesting discussion, mate. An interesting discussion, and we're owners and we are suffering. All righty, mate. Let's turn the discussion now to some rookies. So, as always, mate, you and Roscoe at the third man up. Make sure that you are following these legends on X. You've done a wonderful job. Again, with the graphics here, we can see some pink and yellow this week. We'll get you to talk about that in a little bit, mate. But we might start off with, some options that we may be looking to trade in. And we'll also discuss potentially some of the blokes that are ready to cull this week, mate.
Yeah,
so take it away, brother. The rookie data dump for this round.
I reckon we'll start off with the ones to cull because I think
All right,
this is
let's get the negatives out of the way. All
right,
right,
gets a bit hard. And the reason why I say that is two of the rookies many people are looking to cull in Darcy Wilson and Sam Darcy both put in 88s to sort of reset the cash gen. And so if you're really looking at a grand scheme, some of you guys may have rookies that are just here or there or some mid prices. But the big ones, Zach Williams, he's probably close to maxed out. If he gets a good score this week, he may reset that break even because he had the 33 sub-affected score, but 335k is pretty good money to play around with. Same with Jeremy Sharp. It's very interesting because if you jumped on him after the 126, you would be left very, very flat.
Yes.
He's only gone above 70 odd just a handful of times. It's just that one. It goes to show also with rookies just how much one sort of spike score can do. Because he hasn't done anything basically apart from that 126. He's gone above 70 once all season, except for he's gone above twice, a 71 and a 126. 325k, probably time to cull him. But he does have a good matchup this week against Richmond, so you could just hold. Ollie Dempsey last week was probably the week to trade, but again, his average and his break even are within 1 point of each other. So if you really do want to hold him, that's okay. He should still have good job security. Again, 299k. Aaron Cadman. Oh, mate. I don't know what he deserved to get the Harris Andrews matchup, even with Hogan playing, but
mate, could not believe it. I said in the group chat, like, oh no, well, the thing is, Hogan in is bad for Brisbane, but it's good for Cadman. It was bad for both.
288k. Again, you could move him, you could hold him. It's okay. He's got 11 points. He's got an average 11 points higher than his break even. One man that really reset his break even this week, I mentioned him early, Colby McKercher. He's almost a buy this week. I think that if Zach Fisher's going to continue to be the sub or is going to be put in the twos, Harry Sheasel has that hybrid defensive midfield role. At 250k, you could go much, much worse than a halfback who had 11 kick-ins on the weekend out of, I think he was 14. So he had that monopoly. Yes, it does feel elevated price, but if you are paying, what was it, 228k for Charlie Comben a couple of weeks ago, would you not pay 20K extra for possibly the best scoring rookie in terms of role?
It's funny when
At this
you
time this
put it
season?
that way. The issue is now, and this is very obvious, but 250K, we're in
It's a
downgrade
lot.
season. It's like,
It's a lot.
dang, and that's in saying this, I went combin over Biggie as well.
Yeah.
So I've done this myself. All right, mate. Do you think it's still viable for the fools such as DR that have actually traded out McKercher to get him back in?
I as an owner of McKercher, obviously I sort of want to gatekeep him here because it feels like a pod to have now, because holding him through and getting that 102 and the role just feels like it's such a luxury
I'm
in
so
upgrade
dirty.
season.
I'm so
Because,
dirty. I saw him that last
yeah,
game in that CBA in that
yeah,
different role, and I thought, you know what? I'm getting out now.
yeah.
Well, that break even's high because I'm really worried about the role.
But
Um,
you justify it, and that's all you can really do, because you can't forecast that he's going to get the perfect role, because it's not just that he got moved to halfback; it's that Sheasel got moved into the partially into the midfield. So you got and Sackfisher got subbed. That's like the trifecta for McKercher.
oh, like bugger you, bloody Clarko.
Clarko.
Seriously, he stuffed me up with Combin the other week by chucking him
Yeah, oh,
forward.
geez.
And he's, actually, DR's traded out McKercher. Let's chuck him back, give him all the kick-ins. Bugger you, Fisher. DR doesn't have you anymore. So sit on the pine, son. Oh, damn you, Clarko. Come on.
It is, I would say, we've got him as inside mid still, so that should definitely say designated kicker now, because he's their main outlet out of defense. But
Yeah.
playing the Saints, there's a world where he could go back-to-back tons, and that 250K will not look like 250K for longer. But sorry, I skipped into the trade-ins because there's still a couple more that we've got down the bottom there. So Tom Brown from the Tigers was looking really good in his first couple of games, got laser-like kicking, 261K. You could keep him, you could get him, move him on. Those with Blake Howes, very, very happy owners, because he's pumping out some good scores. And then you got Seth Campbell as well, 237K, Buku Karmas, 272K. They both made 100K. You're both probably happy with him. Maybe Seth Campbell's just a tad bit under, but we always knew the risk there, given that he plays for Richmond, small forward, not the best team, not the best role. But you can see White in this are probably the players that you can move on, except for McKercher. McKercher is that sort of exception there, that he's one that has played more than 2 games, but you may look to bring in at an elevated price. So that's McKercher. I guess the color code in there, we got in yellow are players that have played 1 game, and in pink are players that have played 2 games. So this is sort of a good way to forecast what we'll have available next week. So this week, in terms of players on the bubble, we got Lockie Cowan, 212K, only an average of 51, probably a pass. Jake Rogers is a big one. I'll sort of bookmark him and we'll have a chat about him in very soon. DR 148.8K mid only, 63, but he's the talk of the town. His kicking, I tell you what, he's going to be a star in the future. Leek Leah, 123K. I just worried that he's going to be straight out when Sam Taylor comes in, because that GWS backline is probably as settled as you get in terms of Iden, Himmelberg, Buckley, Taylor, Whitfield, Ash, Perriman. It just feels too settled to muck around with. Jai Sarong, 174K, only averages 28, a pass, elevated price, playing key defensive role, not really for me. Jordan Sweet, D, I think we might see what symbol this one will be in your stocky. Best buy, I'm going to go with.
Oh, no, I'm going above that, mate. Must have.
Must have.
Yep, absolutely, mate. We'll talk about the Ruck in a minute, mate. And I tell you what, big discussion this week, my friend. Big discussion.
He could possibly be pushing his way into R2 candidacy.
I think so.
But he is our best buy. I think we'll talk about him for due's sake, but I think he's sort of must have. We'll also have to talk about him for those that have Naismith, and I think that's a sort of predicament that some coaches may have. And then the other one is Riley Garcia. So if nothing changes and sort of Tyler Sons, your Kane McAuliffe don't come in for Hopper, You would assume one of them comes in, but basically McAuliffe's not here. You just don't know if he's going to be named or not.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Rogers and Garcia, because I think that's where a lot of questions lie. You got Garcia as a 125.2k forward, averages 73. Cody Waitman's expected to miss 8 to 12 weeks with a dislocated elbow, which I think is the third or fourth time he's done in his career.
Yeah,
Poor
he's
bloke.
done it a few times. Yeah.
Geez. And then Jake Rogers, I think Dimmer's backing in these rookies big time. 148.8k, highly touted. He was a top 15 draft pick, averages 63. Where do you stand, DI? If you had to bring in one of those two, how would you go?
Well, first of all, I'd ask you a question, mate, because I need to catch up on the Gold Coast game.
Yeah.
If you look at his score in the first round, I assume that he was actually the sub, but he wasn't. So my big question is this. What's happened from game 1 to game 2? So game 1, we look at that score, we look at that price, that elevated rookie price, and we go, oh, well, chuck him to the side.
Yeah.
Week 2, he's the hottest prospect in town. Keeping in mind who their opposition were, given the Eagles. That's my big question, and it is a legitimate question.
It is.
What was
100%.
the difference, mate? Was the role the same? Was it simply that he's a little bit more comfortable now, maybe a bit of a deer in the headlights in your first game, some pre-game nerves? Can you put your finger on potentially the reason why we've gone from, me personally, not interested at all, to now, wow, this may be the bloke we need to bring in this week? Can you put it down to anything, brother?
Let me put this to you, Dia. How many rookies in their second game do you see going around doing when they miss a target?
High standards.
Every single target he missed, which wasn't many, he was annoyed with himself. So he's setting the high standards for himself. And I think I'm not trying to sort of this is all intuition as a footy lover. I don't see many rookies doing that. Like second gamers that do that, it's against the Eagles. You're up by 4 or 5 goals. You don't see many people doing that. And he was really trusted with the ball going inside 50. And as we know, score assists. So the great Jaden Papowski's got the data. 3.9 points for a score assist. So you get an extra 3.9 points on top of the kick or the handball for every score assist. I know it's just West Coast, but you can't say it's just West Coast. Because
I know.
The matter of the fact is they won 2 games in a row. They started off well, and the kid looked at home. He looked really strong. And I could say the same for Riley Garcia, but I did not see Riley Garcia being disappointed with himself when he missed a target, because that's just not a normal thing for a rookie to do. That way, go on, Dia.
No, sorry, no, continue, mate. Continue.
No, you're good. You're good, mate.
The question for me is, with the role that he's playing, do you think that this was an absolute ceiling game? Like, can he, and we don't need him to improve, I know that, but I'm slightly worried that this could have been a game outside the box. And I love all the attitude stuff, right? That shows he's a professional. He wants the best out of himself, right? He wants to look after his team and do the right thing. But being professional doesn't necessarily mean a good Supercoach score. But what I love about what you're saying is that you need to look at these little things when you're separating rookies, because you've got the big Garcia versus the dilemma this week. So I love the fact that you're saying that. But when it comes to pure scoring, that's where I've still got a bit of a concern, the role. Would you say there's similar roles between, let's maybe shift to Garcia slightly for a sec here and get away from Rogers, because these are the 2 blokes we're comparing. Now, all right, so let's talk about role and job security. Have you got them pretty much on par with both things there, mate?
One thing that I just want to add with Rogers is that he had 13 contested possessions. As a half forward, moving up towards stoppage, 13 contest possessions. That was tied for 5th highest in the match. And that's with your Andersons, Rouse, Millers.
Big competition.
They were the only 4 players that had more contested possessions than Jake Rogers on the ground. Now,
Wow.
that's not to say he had 3 clearance and 6 clangers for 98. So I'm not sure if you could say it was exactly a ceiling game. The only tough part is I would have loved to do it against tough competition. And the one thing that the 28 does is, as we always say, that first game that a rookie plays or whoever plays is the least relevant in terms of their cash gen, because that's going to be gone in 2 weeks.
Yes.
This 98 and whatever he
Yes.
scores against, if we look a bit longer term, I guess, he's got a tough matchup this week. But again, it's relative because I don't know how good Brisbane are this year. And you know they are firsthand.
I'll
It's
tell
just
you, mate.
very difficult to
They're
say.
no good.
Yes.
We are no good. We are no good. And just very quickly, a little bit of an arrow here to Joe Danaher. Mate, take a bit of a leaf out of this bloke's book. This young fella, young Rogers, first year mate in the system, he gets disappointed when he misses an inside 50. Joey, you have a laugh and take a sit on the fence, mate. So please take a leaf out of this bloke's book, Joey. Get angry when you make a mistake, please, and don't laugh about it. It is so frustrating from a fan's point of view. Sorry, mate, had to put that in.
Nah, all good. Well, let's compare that next 4. So Brisbane at the Gabba, North at TIO, Geelong at TIO, Carlton at Marvel. Tough, except for that North matchup.
Yeah.
You compare that with Riley Garcia as a forward. He had 4% CBA, so the CBA is basically irrelevant. It'll get wiped out as soon as Libba comes back. Hawthorn this week at Marvel, Richmond at the G, GWS at Giant Stadium, Sydney at Marvel. So, again, it's a mixed bag, but you can sort of see that immediate cash gen coming in those Hawks and Richmond games as long as he's not the sub. And something to add to this conversation is that straight out of the horse's mouth, Luke Beveridge said that if Tom Liberatore was not a laid out, it would have impacted the team. Specifically, would have impacted Riley Garcia, which just reading the tea leaves makes you think he was going to be the sub. Now, with Cody Waitman out, this dynamic completely changes. But again, you're just playing with fire, because I feel like this year you've got Dimmer taking everything at face value. He doesn't sugarcoat anything. You know what you're going to get, and you have Bevo.
Oh, isn't it?
It's just like, what are we even doing? If you told me you're going a rookie that plays for Bevo and a rookie that plays Dimmer, give me the rookie that plays for Dimmer 100 out of 100 times.
Absolutely. That's a good point, mate, isn't it? That is such a good point. It's so scary. And look, although Waitman's out, I don't think Garcia is a bloke that's absolutely entrenched there, and particularly with Bevo. We know that he was most likely going to be the sub last week. So, yeah, I'm with you there, mate. It is slightly concerning. So would you say, in a nutshell here, mate, if we're to rate, let's say, our top 3 rookies to bring into your side this week, we're going Jordan Sweet, Rogers, followed by Riley Garcia. Would you have a different order there, mate, or would you switch anything around?
That's how I'd go. And it may just be watching Rogers live, or not live, sorry, watching him play this week. You're like, this kid's going to be a superstar in a couple of years. He's a good player, and I'm not sort of just saying this because I've watched we both watched footy for however long now. You see kids come through, and you're like, oh, he's just another kid. This guy is he's not just another kid. That's how I saw it.
All right, mate. Maybe during this Q&A, I might need to go to the trade slide and make a quick edit there, mate. We'll see. All right.
I'll tell you what. This week is going to be really important, and let's just chat about this very quickly. If you had to boost one of this week or next week to bring in so you're looking at a Rogers Garcia type, because next week we have a couple of rookies. So we got Elliot Himmelberg, elevator price, 234K. Jackson Binns,
no deal
Carlton, long awaited debut as the sub. What to do? He could be good. He could be good because he averaged 126 in the VFL last year and was in the VFL Team of the Year as a rookie, which is very, very rare to do in the VFL as a rookie. So one to watch. Harvey Harrison looked really good as the sub. I'd like to say he was it Harvey Harrison? It was one of the Harvey Harrison. Yes, Harvey Harrison came as a sub. He kicked the goal in the last quarter. He looked really good. Cooper Simpson looked very good. So he's one. Sam Day feels like I think he was in the first Gold Coast team. He's been around forever and he's still a rookie.
He was, yeah.
Darcy Jones, helmet, the new helmet boy.
Love him, mate.
Him.
Love him.
He looks really good.
Massive fan.
Daniel Turner, Daniel Disco Turner, 101. I don't know what he's listed as a defender, but he played anything but defense. Riley Hardiman looked really good as well. So you're hearing these words, looked really good. Harry Edwards looked really good. So you got 4 rookies or 5. Edwards, Hardiman, Turner, Jones, Simpson. That looked really good. So next week may be one of those weeks where we may need to get in one of our Ubers and then get in 2 of these guys. So just in terms of forecasting, I think that's really important why we need to have this chat now.
Absolutely, mate. And that's one really important thing. I noticed you mentioned this when you went through your round review. You're constantly looking 2, 3, 4, even more weeks ahead. What trades are on the horizon? Because I've seen so many examples of people getting a little bit excited. Hey, I've got 500K in the bank here. Let's go bang. And then it comes to a couple of weeks' time. There's nothing in the kitty. You haven't got the blokes that are ready to upgrade or to cull. So it is so super important. And I tell you what, the best, Janath, I'll tell you what, let me tell you, the best resource that you can use for this is a Swordplay notepad. Go old school. Get your notes in there. That's what I've got. And I tell you what, will not let you down. Hey, you can't delete a file, can you, on a notepad, mate? That's what I was saying. Shout out to the great Catter, old school notepadder as well, mate. So, yeah, I think
and
that's good advice.
You know what, Dia? You're never going to run out of pages in that notepad.
I'll tell you.
You got 200 pages in our Supercoach Swordplay notepad.
Well, mate, hopefully we'll give enough information here to go close to filling that soon.
I like
your
thinking. I like your thinking.
All right, mate. So anything else that you really wanted to, I suppose, bookmark or end the rookie discussion for this week, brother?
I think it's a good segue to talking about Jordan Sweet and what to do with Jordan Sweet, because there's so many different scenarios.
The sweet and sour. Sweet and sour. Now, we've got Sweetie there, and you may notice that just sitting on Rowan's shoulder there is a very, very angry little character. We can see the eyebrows there, frowning. He's not happy with Rowan Marshall.
Work. That's your best work.
Well, my brother touched on it before in his round review, but it just hasn't been a good time if you invested in Rowan Marshall in the last couple of weeks. But let's be honest, mate, all the talk this week when it comes to the rookies, and we did touch on him before, is Jordan Sweet. So 158,700 with a break even of minus 113, if you don't mind. 130 plus score last week against your man Rowan. Now, keeping in mind that Rowan was playing on one leg, we were lucky not to get him at -2. So soldiered on, at least played out most of the game. So shout out to you and well done, Rowan, for actually doing that, mate.
Thank you, Rowan.
Under a lot of duress. So you can be angry at Rowan owners, but you can look at it from a different point of view.
He did persevere through.
Yeah. He could have called it quits and left you with a -2. So this is very easy to say as a non-owner, I know. We've also got Brody Grundy here, 555,300, the break even of 76. And Timmy English, 591,300 with a break even of 90. I could also probably add Lloyd Meek to this discussion, as well as Tristan Cherry. Now, the big discussion or the big talking point for me, Janath, is not whether or not you get Jordan Sweet in. Now, I view Jordan Sweet as a must-have. I think his cash gen is going to be phenomenal. We've seen what's happened with Rob in the past. We've seen what's happened with Big Kizza as well. Plenty of examples of our R3s being able to make some good coin. However, does he necessarily have to be the R3? That is the big question. Now, I'm going to say straight out, mate, that I really like Jordan Sweet as an R2. The reason why I say that is that you look at his price there, it's 158,700. I don't think there are going to be too many blokes around this price in your backline, mids, or forwards that can potentially give you the average that Jordan Sweet can. Now, this is all your own projections. This is all your own gut feel. But I'm going to give him a 95. So I think he could even push a 3 digit average here, but I'm going to say 95. Again, you may completely disagree. Whoever's listening or watching, you can make your own projections and predictions here. I would ask anyone if they think there's going to be a rookie coming up on the horizon, or apart from your obvious ones that have already played since the start, your Roberts Reed types, who I'm not even including in this conversation, is there anyone that's going to produce a score like that on field for you? I say no. I then look at the two blokes to the right there, Rowan Marshall and Brodie Grundy. Now, very different break evens, pretty different situations here. But if I look at Rowan Marshall there, 545,100, a break even of 198. We know that he's sore. We can go back to even the fixture run that they had, which I think was absolutely ridiculous. And I really feel for St Kilda supporters. What was it? 3 odd games in 12, 13 days. It was just ridiculous. Everything seems to be going against his pick at the moment. And I'm actually pretty concerned about Rowan Marshall. So I'm going to say straight out that if I was in a position where you had, let's just say everyone's got Max Gawn, Rowan Marshall, and someone like Livingston, which I think is a pretty popular combo. If you do have Marshall Livo there at R3, I would be trading Rowan Marshall down to Jordan Sweet. I would not be worrying about getting Jordan Sweet at R3, because I think, and I'm not talking long-term here, but let's just say that Rowan is carrying something. And who knows if he plays, they might even rest him. I'm not too sure. But I reckon for the next month, my call is that Jordan Sweet averages more than Rowan Marshall. I'm not saying this season long, but for the next month, that is my call. And if you can get rid of Rowan, get Jordan Sweet in, and then invest somewhere else, we've got so many great bargains in the midfield. Your Greens, your Bonts, like take your pick. Sarong, I think, is still at a really friendly price. Dawson still. Take your pick if you're looking for a midfielder. 545,000 down to 158. That gives you some good cash. And I understand you're going from a keeper down to a rookie, but it also allows you to get out of the pick and then reassess your ruck options and potentially go back to someone like a Tim English. So that's the way that I feel with Rowan Marshall. Brodie Grundy, do you know what? I'm going to make a really bold call and say that I'd almost do the same thing and trade him out. Brodie Grundy has been an absolute roller coaster this year. You will be kicking yourself when he gives you a 140 plus, but you'll be patting yourself on the back when he goes to 65 to a 75, and Sweetie's going at least your 90 plus. So I would actually be trading out Brodie Grundy as well. Even though he's got more cash to make, I would be trading Grundy out and getting Sweet on field in place of Grundy. Am I against Grundy owners getting Sweet at R3? No, absolutely go for it. But I just think that you can invest that money somewhere else, because I don't believe that the difference in average between Sweet and Brodie Grundy is, let's round it to 400K. I think you can use that 400K.
You get a Tom Green in.
Exactly
Easy.
right. And it's a Tom Green over a Wilson. Now, I know Wilson's been going all right, but whoever on field. That is huge.
Based on what you're saying, DR, for those that aren't following, Tom Green and Jordan Sweet versus Brodie Grundy and Darcy Wilson.
The combo. Yeah, the scoring combo.
So you're not looking in isolation Sweet versus Grundy, because even if Sweet goes at exactly what Grundy goes, you're banking on whoever you use that money for, that 400K, is going to score more than Darcy Wilson or whoever you're comparing them with. And so you're looking at it holistically in that way. You know what, DR? I've just done some digging. And so Ivan Soldo is still 4 to 5 weeks out in the injury report. So just note these down. So you got Adelaide at Adelaide. This is the next 5 games for Port Adelaide. Adelaide at Adelaide Oval, Geelong at GMHBA, Hawthorn at Adelaide Oval, North Melbourne at Blunston, Carlton at Adelaide Oval. And then they have the bye. And so we sort of see the timing that Soldo will probably come back in round 14 after the Port bye. So now let's talk about why really Jordan Sweet scored so well. So when you look at her face value, 11 disposals, 3 marks, 6 tackles, 5 contested possessions, you're not really thinking it's going to be a 136-point game.
Nah.
Not at all.
Yeah.
But there's a specific reason for this. So he had 36 hitouts. Now, when a hitout is sharked, that's -1. But for a hitout to advantage, you get 4 points. And so Jordan Sweet, so far this season, is averaging 10.5 hitouts to advantage per game. Now, note, he was subbed out in that first game as well. So basically, he has so far this season, he gets 42 points from hitouts to advantage. Now, you may be saying, okay, it's a small sample size. his hit-out win percentage is 52.8%. So he wins more
sorry,
hit-outs
Soldo was in round
than he
one.
loses.
Soldo played in that first game with him as well, and he wasn't the pure
played
ruck.
him.
Which
He
you
played
also
with him,
take into
so
account.
that's a really,
Sorry, mate. Yeah,
that's a really thing. And do you know what's most impressive? Jordan Sweet so far has the highest hit-out to advantage percentage of any ruckman in the AFL, 36.8%. So that means
wow,
that he has the highest percentage of hit-outs that goes to his followers. And something that's really helpful for that is having good followers that actually know where you're going to tap it to. And when you're tapping it down to Butters, Rosie, Horn Francis, Wines, Drew, it makes it a bit easier.
absolutely.
All right, but let's look at his opposition for the next 4 weeks. So I told you it's Adelaide, Geelong, Hawthorn, North, Carlton.
Yep.
Adelaide. Riley O'Brien, 49.6% hit-out win percentage. So Jordan Sweet trumps that. And then he's got Geelong. Now it's a lottery as who's going to be the ruckman. I'll give you both of them. So Ray Stanley, 37.3%. If it's not Ray Stanley, it's going to be Toby Conway, 41.8%. So even then, Jordan Sweet takes the cake there. Hawthorn, you'd assume it's going to be Lloyd Meek, 39.6%. Again, really good. North Melbourne, Tristan Sherry, probably the toughest matchup, maybe alongside this week, 43.8%.
Okay.
And then Carlton, probably the best matchup because even though Mark Pittonet's a really good tap ruckman, he actually doesn't win generally a lot of hit-outs. He gets them to his followers, to our followers, but he's got a 38.9% hit-out percentage. So I think this Jordan Sweet at R2 strategy is really good. One other thing that Cohen Livingston owners can do this week, and I think this is what I'll be doing. Port Adelaide play on the Thursday night. You'll know the teams by then, so you can plan your moves. Put Jordan Sweet at R3. Make sure you have that purple box on Jordan Sweet with the emergency.
Please.
And then if Jordan Sweet, what's your line, D? I'm taking 85 and above. Anything 85 and above.
Oh, yeah, I would absolutely take that with the other. Yeah, absolutely.
If Sweet scores 85, I already own Sweet, so I'm in a pretty fortunate position there. But what you would do is if he scores 85, you move Livingston into your R2, so you're going to get Sweet on your field, and then you maneuver the rest of your team around moving out whoever your current ruckman 2 is, whether it be Marshall, whether it be Grundy. And I think that we will have a better opportunity to pick up Tim English, knock on wood, this season, where Jordan Sweet gets the bye, he's maxed out, and you can get him on to Tim English either after the Bulldogs bye or at just before the Bulldogs bye, either or. What do we reckon?
Well, this is my question to you, mate, because this is the decision that I've had to make this week. And it's like I'm blessed, but it's frustrating at the same time. Oh, and then I'm going to talk about one more strategy, mate, if that's okay. But I had targeted Tim English for this week for the last few, I just thought, here we go. It's going to be Tim English all the way. Look at that price and break even for his potential capability at his starting price. This bloke started over 700K. Keep in mind, mate. And with apart from that one really ordinary game, there's no major failures, right? So all roads were leading to me picking up Tim English this week. Is there a world where you think someone in my position could still go ahead and trade in both English and Jordan Sweet? Or do you think that, given the fact we've already had that discussion about how well Sweet could potentially score compared to other rookies, do you think that you just abandon that idea for now? What's your quick take on that one, mate? Because I've abandoned it myself.
If you're trading in both, then you're going to have to bench Sweet.
Yes.
You wouldn't bench English.
No,
and so basically you're making Livingston redundant in that instance, just straight up, because Sweets doesn't have the DPP. I don't know. I think if you're backing in Sweet this week, I remember last year not owning Briggs and having a number one ruckman that Sweet and Briggs are very different in their own right, because Sweet's not a tap. Briggs isn't a tap ruckman. He gets around the ground. He tackles really well.
Beast.
Sweet is more of that tap ruckman. He doesn't do much around the ground, but you can just see how much toweling up on the hitouts can do to a Supercoach score. So I think for you, DR, I know it's tough, and it could really bite us. But think having a number one ruckman for 4 to 5 weeks, and you know they're going to be the number one ruckman. So it's not a case where Sweet is in the team because Soldo's in bad form. You know that the only reason Sweet won't be in the team is if he gets injured.
Absolutely.
And in that case, you're sort of willing to take the risk, I think. Hold off on English, and it may look bad. There may be weeks where English goes 140 and Sweet goes 90, but always keep in mind, has that 430k in this instance made up that 40 points? And I think that's the big thing that we need to be looking at in the big picture.
It is, mate. And the other quick thing that I just want to mention as well, and I'm in this position, I feel in a way that if you've got the combo of Gawn and English, Jordan Sweet is, in a way, I feel, and this may sound really silly because everyone wins because of his cash generation.
Yeah.
But I think you lose out a little bit because I'm in this situation currently where I've got Dogger at R2. So for me, it's a matter of see you later, Aaron Cadman, or whichever forward rookie, if you've got a Dempsey, whoever's ready to go, and simply a matter of let's strengthen the forward line and get Dogger down there. Then I've got a spare spot. Let's get Jordan Sweet in. You've still got Livingston there.
Yeah.
And then you can actually loop between Jackson and Jordan Sweet.
Yeah.
So let's just say he does play that early game, has a bit of a shocker for some reason. It's like, all right, well, let's get Dogger up there. So I feel that I'm really blessed in the fact that I haven't committed to an R2. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Those that are yet to commit to an R2, I feel this is really good, having Jordan Sweet available. And it makes it really awkward for those people that have already committed to an R2 and you're not willing to trade them out, because seeing someone like me getting hopefully 100 score per week and seeing your English, even if you got it, getting your 125, but having this guy on the bench, you're thinking, oh, geez, it just doesn't feel right.
You still get the cash, and that's where I know last year I was in the position where I had Marshall and English, and I'm like, I can't trade either of these out for Briggs. So I'm just going to have Briggs rotting away on the bench making money. I just didn't do it because it just wasn't worth it. In this case, Sweet is a bit of a different proposition. We're too early in the season to sort of stinge with our money on the bench. You take what's available. I guess the other thing, DR, just to mention is Jordan Sweet averaged 120 in the VFL last year. So it's got that scoring pedigree. Just the last thing I think to bookmark this is I know that some people, I know the great Abs, the Skodfather, he's got Sam Naismith. So those with Sam Naismith, what do you do there? Are you sort of in the position where you leave Naismith at R3 because you don't want to trade Naismith to Sweet because you're going to have to use another trade to get in a ruckman when you trade Sweet out. So do you leave Naismith at R3, get Sweet in at R2, and then let Sweet max out and then go straight up to that English or whoever it is when Sweet maxes out?
Probably. That's if you're projecting. So Naismith's job security is based on, you'd think, Bolter and Lynch at the moment. Do you think maybe a Samson Ryan could take his spot? Like,
he played well in the VFL.
Well, all right, the question would be, how confident are you? You're not a Tigers supporter, I know that. How confident are you that he plays for the next 3 weeks, Naismith? Do you think it's a lot?
Very.
Or not very?
I said it last week as well, mate, that when Naismith was named, I was pretty sure that it was going to be something due to combat Max Gawn, which they didn't end up achieving. So it may just be that he's straight out. It may be that he has an extended stint, but Naismith's not a forward.
No, he's a ruck.
Neither is Nate. Yeah. Samson Ryan is more of a forward than Naismith or Nate is.
Yes, and that's why I assumed actually that he'd get named over Naismith because they're more looking for that forward ruck relief, given the fact that Nank's fit and well, how fit he is, I'm not sure, but he's available and playing at the moment. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that switch, mate. I don't think that Naismith set the world on fire.
That's it. So reading between the lines there, mate. Naismith may get dropped because if you were going to bring in a forward, you would have brought in Ryan. That's why I'm thinking that it was something to do with Max Gawn.
Good
This week,
thinking, mate.
though, you do play Sean Darcy and you play Luke Jackson. So again, they may go that 1-2 punch. We'll just wait and see. But obviously, Jordan Sweet, Sam Naismith, I would still bring in Jordan Sweet if you already have Sam Naismith and use him as your R2 and restructure your midfield or your forward line or your defense around that set of moves.
Awesome, mate. That was a fantastic discussion. I think that's probably the biggest discussion and probably the biggest talking point this week, mate, is what do we do with this ruck setup? Just because Jordan Sweet has announced himself, in my humble opinion, as an absolute must-have. Mate, we have been going for almost right on an hour here. So we've obviously going to end with our captains and quickly go through our trades. I think it's maybe time to get the mailbag up, mate. Now, again, due to the fact that we are on a bit of a time limit here, we are probably going to focus on those more general questions that relate to lots of the community chat and questions this week. Some of the more team-specific ones, it depends if we absolutely fly through. We'll give a go at a couple. But last Friday night, I did a live, mate. And I tell you what, the response that I got was extremely, extremely overwhelming. And so I do promise that any questions I don't get to, I will do a live stream this week and I'll answer those. And if for some reason I don't do that, I will go back to the comments. And even if Spilsy has maybe 5 minutes spare up his sleeve, it's very hard this week. He might even get to some as well, just to try to help some people out. But again, thank you very much to anyone that
and the
has left a comment. Oh, the donations were just... I was blown away, mate. There was memberships getting donated, and on the stock here, we'll give a big shout out to all those legends, my brother. So here we are, and I've got the link or shortcut to the website there as well on X. If you are interested in giving that a quick look, that would be awesome.
So for the audio listeners, that's just supercoachswordplay.com.
Oh, Janath, you're a good man. I keep on forgetting about that, mate, because we are very much a visual podcast. All right, let's get into it, my man. First one is from Supercoach Lock. How are you, legends? Hope you are well. Make sure you check out Supercoach Lock's channel as well. Does some great stuff. Hey, guys, would you trade out Grundy to Sweet? Have Sweet at R2. Soldo listed being out for 4 to 5 weeks. Surely he doesn't come back until after Port's bye. We have absolutely answered that one there for you, Lock. Yes. Also, can't wait for my swordplay beanie to arrive.
Love it.
Thank you very much, brother. Hey,
it's shipped.
Already out.
It's on the way.
Out.
It's
and
already out.
Mate, would love to have your beautiful noggin on our Supercoach wall of fame. So thank you very much.
And just very quickly to everyone out there, when you purchase, you'll get a confirmation email off your purchase. You'll also get a tracking number as soon as we've shipped it out. So it's just as you would purchase from your Target, your Big W, anywhere like that. So it's all secure payment as well. We've really looked after the security side of things to make sure that this website runs as smoothly as possible.
I'm bloody having trouble logging into the website myself at the moment, Janath. These codes and everything, texting me this and that. And I'll tell you what, the security is absolutely top notch, mate. Like a prison at security. So, well done, brother. That's fantastic from your end. And all the best, Lock. Cheers, man. Next one is from Trav. G'day, Trav. Love your work as per usual, guys. Thank you, man. Quick shout out to those in the community who don't mind giving advice. I like this, such as Rain Man. Shout out to you, brother. Wonderful Carlton supporter. Likes to think outside the box. I'm pretty sure he might have got on Dale as well. I think
Dale
he was
and
on
May,
Dale from
May,
memory.
both of them. And Tajwa Woden. Couple
and
of
a bit of
real left fielders. Yeah, a couple of real left fielders.
I like it, Janath.
That's it.
Kata, etc. Now, Kata, the great man, one of the best. And I'll tell you what, Janath, probably if I think back to when I started Supercoach, if there's anyone out there that I have known the longest, I think it's probably Kata out of anyone in the community. So we go way back to the old Supercoach talk days, Kata and I. So good on you, Trav. Appreciate that, man.
I want to give a shout out to Kata for the support. He's always retweeting the third man up content. I love it. It's super
stock market, swordplay stuff. Everything, all the stuff that we produce. I'm in a great chat with Kata as well, the AFL Legends chat, and there are legends. It's called that for a reason. Kata, we can't thank you enough for all your continued support, mate. So thank you very much, mate. And to anyone, there's just 2 names here. There was an etc. there. Lots of et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We would be here all night. We need to rush through this, Janath. All right. The question is, and I think we've answered this, is Rowan a trade out? Yeah, he is, mate.
You can trade him. You can hold him. It's one of those players where if you hold him, he could just come good. And I've said it a couple of times this season.
Yeah.
I remember saying with Hayden Young, when it was like, everyone was trading me, it's like, is Hayden Young possibly a hold? Same with Colby McKercher, when everyone was trading me out. And now Rowan, he could come good, but I think we've sort of been gifted this opportunity with Jordan Sweet. It's a bit different to the other examples this year.
Awesome, mate. Awesome. Next one is from Ladies Man. Now, this is team specific, but I think it's a quick one that we should really touch on, mate, with a couple of players here very quickly. Yeah. Hey, lads, can't wait for the merch. Causa, love you, man. You know you're getting a members discount as well, mate. Make sure that you do put that code in, any of the members that I sent through to you guys. Thoughts on Dale? So I think Bailey Dale's probably a quick one that we do discuss, mate. Now, for me, I'm possibly looking to trade him in this week. Now, we look at that break even, the way that I see it, and I think what really attracts me to the Dale pick, and there are red flags. I know that there's obviously Libba hasn't been there, Richards is to come back. I do understand that. But if I can get away with bringing in someone at Dale's price in my defensive line, I just feel that that could be the difference between me trying to save, and no disrespect to someone like a Jordan Dawson, as compared to getting a Matt Rowell or a Zeret in my side. So that's the way that I'm viewing Bailey Dale at the moment. Yeah. If you take away that 40 odd in the sub game, even his first 3 games, it's not a terrible type average. Now, how far away is he going to be from the D6? That's the big question. He does play from Bevo, but at the moment, mate, he's actually in my trade plans. Things could change, but for the time being, I do have Bailey Dale in my trade plans. Can you give us maybe some quick thoughts on how you view the Dale selection, mate? Keeping in mind that he's had those 2 really good scores, but you are paying a little bit more than what we were paying last week.
I don't love the pick, and there's just a couple of reasons for that. One, obviously,
Janath, you were meant to, mate. You were meant to go.
Hold on.
You're on the right track here, mate. Yes, go for it. Lock him in.
You can go for it. I'll tell you. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
But don't. All right, mate.
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
All right, mate.
So obviously, plays the Bulldogs. But one of the things, I've said this a couple of times, whenever I'm thinking about a player, and I think the round 14 buy is going to be really bad, but the round 15 one's going to be bad for the defenders. So if you bring in Dale, you already have Dacos. You will be looking at your Sicily, your Sinclair types. So right there, I don't know how your team's structured. That's one reason. I don't think that's the biggest reason. I think the bigger reason is that the defensive line is probably the one line right now where that in the midfield where you can say, these are going to be your top 6 defenders. These are going to be your top 8 midfielders. And I don't see Dale being close enough. Yes, if he scores 2 goals and a half every game, he's going to push the top 6 defenders. But a 175 and a 132, 175 against the Saints and 132 on a very open ground. Now, admittedly, I didn't get to watch most of that Fremantle Bulldogs game. But just looking at the stats, 2 goals by halftime, was it 20 odd, close to 20 touches by halftime. It does feel a little bit unsustainable. And we can probably safe to say Sheasel, Ryan, Houston, Dacos in any order is going to be a D1 to 4.
Yeah, I'd
Nick
agree.
Martin's probably pushing the top 6. Tom Stewart's probably pushing the top 6. Whitfield, Elliot Yeo. Those 8 probably a top 8 right there. And then you have your next level down. And that's when you bring in your Bailey Dale, Nick Blakey, those types that, yes, they could get to that top 6. And we got it here, right here, mate. There's looking at the premium value, Tom Stewart at 500K. I just feel like I trust him more than Bailey Dale at 40K less because they both have the spike games in them. But, Tom Stewart's never going to be made the sub. He may get injured. He may have age not on his side. But I'd rather just wait that extra couple of weeks and look to see how the defensive holds because this week I think is the week for the mids and the rucks, mate. What do you reckon?
Well, I did trade him in, mate. But what I'm thinking, and I was actually thinking this during the Rogers discussion, I am boosting this week.
Yeah.
I was really keen to bring in an ultra primo in the midfield, get a rookie in, obviously being sweet, and then trying to just get one more upgrade in with this boost to help my upgrade
Yes.
cadence. And Dale's a bloke who I thought, look, I can afford him. I don't quite have the money to then go up to that next even Whitfield type area. So I thought, do I take a punt on getting him in this week while he's still at value and getting away with a really, really cheap D6? Hopefully, maybe averaging in the top 12 defenders and that gap between maybe 7 and 12 not being that huge. That was what I was sort of talking myself into. But if you look on the screen here, mate, there are so many blokes that do present good value. You've got your English, your Bont, your Green, your Dawson, your Stewart. I'll go through all the numbers in the stock market video, so we won't go through that now, mate, and we'll push on.
Yeah.
In the background, they're just lingering, as we said pre-podcast. You've got your Butters, you've got your Luke Ryan type. So what you're saying, mate, if I'm not taking the words out of your mouth, is that you would be looking to pass on someone like a Bailey Dale because of the fact that this is a week where we are presented with some good ultra premium value.
Yeah.
Is that fair enough to say?
That's exactly. And if I was to, I'm taking inspiration from the Dr. Supercoach podcast here.
Legends.
Because I just wanted to give them a quick shout out. Yes, they are technically competition, but obviously you bounce ideas off of each other. But the fact is that right now in defense and midfield, because it's so clear, and even in the ruck line, but we're sort of breaking the rule there, but going sweet. In defense, you've got those 8 names I mentioned. In the midfield, I think you by season's end, you want to have 6 to 7 of these as your top 8. So Bont, Butters, Sarong, Green, Merritt, Petrarca, Rao.
Yes. Yeah.
And then so I have Jack Steele and Luke Davies Uniacke here already. So I probably won't be able to get all 7 off them without sidewaysing. And so Jack Steele 2 weeks ago was part of this core 8.
Yes. He was. And now I'm ranting about the bugger.
He was probably in the top 5, to be honest. And the names I just mentioned were in no particular order. But Sarong, if you don't have Sarong, get Sarong. If you don't have Green, get Green. If you don't have Merritt, get Merritt. Rao is the one. He's at a very high price now, at 655,000, and I don't know. I don't know if he can push that far. He's got a break even of 112, which he'll probably hit, and then he's got North at TIO, which just feels like a Matt Rao game. But the moral of the story here is there's probably not many teams that have all 7 of those players. And if you're boosting for Jake Rogers or Garcia, Jordan Sweet, you probably have the money to pick off one of those 7 or one of the 8 defenders that I mentioned before over a Bailey Dale or cheaping out.
You know, it makes a lot of sense, mate. And this is why, it's not just the audience that gets a lot out of this podcast. Every week I sit here listening to you and Spilsy, and I think, do you know what? Yeah, that makes sense. I was so on the Bailey Dale train.
What about Jack McRae? Yeah, because he's the one that I think is not a lock for top 6 forward, but Zorko got a positional change. Dylan Moore's, it's really hard to predict what he'll score. Rankin, good time on ground, but again, he's just an enigma. Jack McRae feels like he doesn't need all the CBAs in the world to score well. Where do you stand on bringing in McRae this week at 460k or 480k? Sorry.
Do you know my main issue with bringing in a Jack? Look, that price for Jack McRae is elite if you look at his scoring history in his past, right?
Yeah.
My question that I'd throw back to people is how much more is he going to average, let's just say, than a Harley Reid, than I don't know who else you're sort of running with in your foot. I'd even throw, and not that he's going to be a keeper, but just as an example, a Sam Darcy I'll throw in there. Now, how much more is Jack McRae going to average in these type of blokes? Like, I've got Darcy already, and mind you, he's a cash cow. I view him as a cash cow, absolutely. But I just don't see how much upside he has at that price in the forward line this year. Like, if you look at the names, right, I just think that Jack McRae, a lot of people are looking at the name. They're focusing on that name, Jack McRae.
Yes,
this is not the Jack McRae that we have had in the past. This is a very different Jack McRae with a very different role or, I suppose, importance in the side or to the side. I don't love the pick at all, mate. I'm really against the Jack McRae pick, if I can be honest. Look, don't get me wrong. He can turn it around. He goes a couple of nice hundreds. I'll pay up a little bit more
You
for that
pay up.
security
You
bit. I
pay
don't
up.
want to be stuffing around with someone like a Jack McRae when I've got so many question marks on him, when I could be having a Sam Darcy, who I would not be surprised week to week would score more than him. That's my argument against the Jack McRae selection, mate.
And so I know that I've hijacked the mailbag right here, but I think we're going to cover just one more because I think this is the other talking point. Tom Powell. So a little bit of an elephant in the room, but his CBAs went padoosh. When Will Phillips has come in, we thought, oh geez, not Will Phillips again. They should have just drafted Logan McDonald to begin with.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
Will Phillips comes in, and it feels like Tom Powell's role has gone downhill since then. Only 14% CBAs on the weekend, and I think he only got those CBAs after Will Phillips was subbed off.
Yes.
So just to sneak sort of a trailer into my trades, I'm punting Tom Powell this week. Not for forward, but to bring in another one of those uber mids, that big 7 that I was mentioning. And we'll have a look at it a bit later. But what's going on with Tom Powell, Dia? Like when we were looking at him, we were seeing him as a cash cow. He's made the cash, so he's made 102K. So this is the week if you want to trade him, because for North, every matchup is difficult.
Yes, that I would absolutely agree with, mate. One thing, and I forget where I heard this. I don't know if it was maybe George or the FTTV boys. Shout out to you, legends, as well. But I did hear somewhere that apparently he was very close to the CBAs and he was actually calling other people in to those CBAs. I didn't watch that myself. That's alarm bells for me, mate. That is alarm bells for me. The other thing, and you floated this before, Sheasel potentially moving into that midfield role as well, or spending more time there. You think, well, there's less and less time for your Tom Powells. Now, I've been up and down with this. When I selected Tom Powell, I was actually viewing him as a keeper with worst case scenario, he makes me 100K type thing. Now, this is at the point where we're at now. He's made you around your 100K mark. So you need to almost draw a line in the sand now and say, am I going to commit to Tom Powell, or do I think he's done his job now for me? This is the week to do it. Now, people may disagree with me and say, now, do you know what? You could wait a week just for that extra little bit of confidence, because, say, if he scores at 60 or 70, he's not going to lose that much. People may be prepared, because it's such a big decision, to actually lose 20-odd K, if that's the case, just for a bit more security about his role moving forward. Because wouldn't you hate to see Phillips out next week, Powell comes right into that CBA and goes at his 80% again? You'd hate to see that.
Against the Saints. The Saints, not a good midfield, so it is the matchup. The matchup is good.
Yeah, well, the other thing, mate, is Champion Data hate this bloke. They don't even count half his tackles. So he's been a bit of a frustrating pick in that respect. So, look, Tom Powell for me, mate, going ahead as well, is currently in my trade plans as well, but I'm not sold on it. And the reason, actually, do you know what? I may back out on Tom Powell, Janath, because I was looking at Bruce Dale in. That Bruce may now go to Rogers, which means that I may not have to. It was more of a monetary thing to get up to your Sarong as well this week. So I'm all over the place now in the trades, mate. So just completely disregard the last trade slide that we get to. But that was a good chat, mate.
The last thing to add to that is 7 Kangas midfielders, not the Rucks, had CBAs on the weekend. That's a lot. That's a lot of players going through. They're Paul Curtis at 26%. So they're just all over the shop at the moment.
Was it just a week of literally experimenting then, mate? Were they saying, well, we're buggered or whatever?
I don't know what Clark is doing, mate.
Off. We know what you can do in there, Tommy. Let's give someone else a chance to show what they can do.
It must be a clear directive, though. For a player to say, for someone else to come in, as a player, I'm like, if you're a natural competitor, that's where you want to play. You're midfield. You want to play in the center bands, but you don't want, oh, come on, mate, have one for here. It's like a charity.
Absolutely. And the big question is, which none of us know, why was he given that directive if we're assuming that he was? What's the reason behind it?
And this is why, DI, is that I get that F3 to F9 if you can predict it, it's like the old school Supercoach Best 9 or whatever it was called, where you have to pick the best Supercoach score in every week. You get like $1 million if you win or something.
Yeah.
Picking these forward line is like that, and that's why I think moving on Tom Powell and not bringing in a forward is okay. It's justifiable as long as you strengthen somewhere else on your field. And the tough part for us is we have some really good forward rookies, but we also have good midfield and defensive rookies as well. So we're sort of being blessed with cash gen across the field this year. And so, again, sorry, hijack the mailbag, but hopefully I feel like we covered all the big talking points this week. Let's see if there's anything to round off the edges here.
Yeah, no, that was a really good, and I think it was an important discussion, mate, because these are the blokes that people are looking to get in. And I think when I look at lots of questions in regards to trade plans in and out, as you said, we've probably covered lots of the options anyway, buddy. So, yeah, good on your calls. So thanks for that, mate. And we got to get to this, man, the great Catter. We just gave you a shout out. How are you, mate? Hey, gents. Do you think it's worth trading Grundy, Williams, and Sexton, if not picked, to Sweet, Rogers, while giving this Tick, and Tom Green? Janath, I'm going to assume, mate, that you have a big grin on your face and you're going to say, Catter, you are the man.
Look at the bottom. Look at the last sentence. Look at the next one.
In the bank for an upgrade of...
Oh, jeez.
Is that possibly the biggest upgrade you'll see this year? Just if you don't mind, Biggie up to Heaney. A slight points grab there, you'd assume. Catter. Mate, I would absolutely
love it.
Lock it away, mate.
Lock it in.
Not even
throw away the key.
Good on you, mate. Guys, I am skipping some of the ones here. Please don't take any offense. We are just going to the more genuine ones. I promise I'll get to all of it. I do apologize because we are running out of time. Next one is from Maxi. G'day, Maxi. Is there any way that you trade English for Sweet? Having R2. We probably didn't. We did cover the rucks pretty well, mate. But sorry, cash upgrade.
Yes.
Okay, so basically the question is, do you trade out Tim English?
No.
You're not?
That second one, think it's more sensible just hold English and have Sweet at R3. This is the exact scenario, DR, that you were mentioning, that some coaches who have well planned and have got their team in a good place are sort of at a detriment in this case.
It's awkward,
you can't blame yourself.
Yeah.
It's an awkward situation.
Yeah. It's almost a blessing for blokes like me that aren't as organised in your ruck line. So, do you know what? When I was talking to H last, mind you, this is about 2:30 in the morning. I was like, get rid of English.
Get rid of English.
Yeah, maybe I'll take that back. Sorry, H. We'll have a chat in the members chat.
Do you know what, though, mate? The fact is that going on English could just get injured. And then you just have Sweet lying in your lap. Easiest ruck cover you'll have in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, awesome, mate. Lethal, g'day, Lee. How are you, mate? Grundy to Sweet, absolutely, mate. Cover that one well. Cheers, brother. All right, John. We'll get Johnny. One trade locked in. Marshall to Merritt. Love that, mate. Half locked. Power to Fife. All right, mate. Cadman, Garcia, Rogers. So we're saying get Rogers in, mate. There.
I would get Rogers in. I don't know about Powell to Fife. Again, it's like a blanket. You can throw a blanket over F3 to F8. I've got a couple of questions about Powell, Fife, McRae, Moore, Rankin, all these guys, Zorko, that are just floating in that F. So we're pretty confident that Heaney and Flanders is your F1 and F2 by some margin.
The length.
And then after that, sorry, we had an oversight last week. We missed Jack McRae in the top 10 forwards. Luke Jackson.
We copped that summer as well.
But, John, I just don't know if Powell to Fife is worth it. Do you, DR? Like, Fife has Richmond this week, which is a really good matchup. He looks really good. He looks fit. But is it worth that extra trade there?
I've always said right from the start, and mind you, this has burnt me with an Elliot Yeo pick this year. I've had so many chances to bring him in. Fife's always been the type of player that I've said, either start with and decides to anti-pod. It's so dangerous bringing him in during the year. Now, he's on fire, mate. Looked like he's in career best form last week. But my question is, would anyone be surprised if Tom Powell averaged as much or more than Nathan Fife? I don't think a heap of people would. I think it could be close enough. I just, at his age, John, I'm worried at the price. But in saying that, mate, I'm almost viewing him as a keeper, a forward keeper, if he can get through the season. It's probably a little bit too sideways for me, mate. If it was played other than Fife. But then again, there's no real good forwards, is there? So look, Johnny, I'm going to say no, mate. It's a very tough one. I'd be tempted, but are we going to be surprised to see Fife go down at any stage? Probably not. So I'm just going to say no.
Yeah,
It's a tough one, brother.
I think so. It's really tough, and it's a gut call. If you back yourself with Fifey, it's almost better if you back yourself in, John, and you bring in Fife and he does well, rather than you back off it because we say so. We're just giving our opinion here. But if you really believe that Fife is a top 6 forward, which all signs show he can be, go for it.
Absolutely. Thanks, Johnny. All the best, mate. One of the members of my channel. Very, very important person in the community. Frogger, I love this one, mate. G'day, SC Savage and Purveyors. The vocab Frogger. Now, some people may think Frogger's a bit of a simple man there, just with the old pick there, and absolutely not. A very knowledgeable man is Frogger, and a legend. Shout out to you, brother. And some quality merch. Thank you very much, mate. Janath, just want to read out this because I love it. Grundy to me, Cadman to Rogers, Karmas to Green, then Billings to Petrarca, D'Ambrosio to Bont and Pally. My goodness.
Wait a minute. Wait. Grundy to Meek. So skipping Sweet?
Oh, hang on. No, surely that's meant to be Sweet.
Maybe it is Meek. I don't know. Maybe it is Meek.
Oh, mate, do you know what? If you boosted for Sweet last week, mate, and you've still got
why would you bring in Meek? Why would you trade Grundy to Meek?
Now, look, Meek does have a really good run coming up, but no, mate, I think that would be very much a waste. I'm assuming, though, that it might be
possibly Sweet.
Yeah, look, sorry, Frogger, we're saying no to that one, mate, to Grundy to Meek. I feel you could go right down or look to go up with that, mate.
But next week, if you line up a Trac and Bont, I feel like that has to be Sweet. There's no way you've got that much cash lying around to get Petrarca, Bont, and Pelly like that. I feel like it's got to be Sweet there, mate. Just a typo.
Yeah, let us know about that, mate.
If it is, then totally good trades.
Yeah. Next trade here, Zeret, Bont, and Sweet in Lazaro,
This
Marshall,
is what I'm doing. This is the logic. I like it.
I give that the 2 thumbs up, and that was from Steve-O Hevo. I love that. Steve-O Hevo. Good on you, Steve-O. Cheers, man. All the best, mate. All right. This is more of a team-dependent, Pete, so we will get to that one a little bit later. Thanks, Legend, for that. We'll get to you, mate. Thank you very much. Nathan Harris. G'day, Nath. Legends trade Meek to Sweet. I know Sweet has a brilliant run upcoming.
Oh, that's tough.
Sweet could have 50 to 100 in him. Do you reckon? Maybe with his run. Do you know what?
Make money-wise? What do you reckon? Oh, it's tough. I would. Meek's probably got 50K in him. Sweet's probably got 150, 200 minimum.
Oh, do you know the issue with this, right? Is it you're probably going to keep Meek for the next month anyway, then trade him?
Yeah.
And
Sweet's
do you know what?
Same thing. Yeah.
I would do it, mate. I would.
Oh, it's a risk.
Or do you just view so Meek is looking to get good cash gen, still looking to score well. In that case, would you maybe just look to go your R3 up to Sweet if you're a Meek owner, Janath?
I will say one thing with Meek, though, is that he's lucked into some lucky goals. So Brody Grundy on the weekend gave away a 50. Meek topped the goal square. Even the North game, Tristan Sherry he cannot defend a traffic cone as a ruckman. He didn't do it against Dogger. It's any ruckman that plays against North, you're not going to win the hitouts, but you're going to get, if you can get him around the ground. That's what Lloyd Meek did. I don't know. I would do it. I'd do it Sweet. Get that money. And then, see how he goes at R3. But then you would have already had to make the trade, so you don't even get a choice to back away from it. It's so tough, mate. It's so tough. Yeah. What you can do, Nathan, I'll tell you what to do, is you trade out a Cadman or someone. I assume you've got a Livingston or someone. Put Sweet at R3, see how he goes. And then if he doesn't do too well, trade out Meek. Or if he does well, trade out Meek to someone. Flick him on to whoever you want, really. So make that first trade not Meek to Sweet, but someone to Sweet, and then plan around how Sweet goes on the Thursday night.
Awesome work, mate. Great advice, Janath. And again, sorry, guys, I did skip through a few there. We'll get to Q-Long. G'day, Q-Long. No Jack Stewart training today. 3 big names on the chopping block. Grundy to Field Sweet, who already own Steele and Powell. Well, we're probably saying yeah to Grundy and Powell. Maybe have a think about Steele, mate. Could you give a ranking in these order to keep? So
Steele, Powell and Grundy are probably level, but to get Sweet in, I'd move Grundy on first.
Yes, I agree, mate. I agree with you there as well. Cheers, buddy. Next one we'll go to Ian. G'day, E. How are you, mate?
That's good.
Love this time of the week. You're a legend, Ian. Thanks for all your support as well. We love hearing from you, mate. So thanks very much. Every Wednesday means I get to listen to the potty whilst the boys are at school. Sweet as, brother. Glad you enjoy it, man. Thanks for your support. I'll get Zero to Dawson this week, but which rookie, Garcia or Rogers? We have gone on Rogers there, mate. And thoughts on Tom Powell? We've already covered that as well. Cheers, E. Thanks, mate.
That next question, Dia, the Nick Vlauston, we haven't talked any Nick Vlauston, so I think it's just worth touching on him.
All right, mate. Nicky baby. Orlando. Thanks, Orlando. Love the name. Yeah. Cool name, man.
Bit of a yo-yo. Jaden Short's out, so he's getting a bit more of that sort of rebounding. He's just very quickly, he's one of my favorite players to watch because he's so underrated. Didn't know all Australian nods or anything, just goes about his business. As a Supercoach pick, he has a really good ceiling. I just don't think that he's very similar to Bailey Daly in that sense that I just think that there's just better players. And it's a pick where if you bring in Nick Vlauston and he spuds it up, there are just so many defenders that are going well on a week-to-week basis that it's just going to ruin your round, man.
And you're the only one that suffers. He's such a pod. You're the only one that's suffering there with a few other coaches.
2% of teams, 4,000 teams. I mean, like, it just feels,
He's a dangerous pod. A dangerous pod, in my opinion.
Yeah. It could work out there.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, thanks for that, mate. Cheers, Orlando.
Thank you, mate. Thank you.
Just quickly on Chrissy boy here. Grundy to Sweet, then Common to Sarong, or too early to move him on? Look, mate, I think if you're going, this is just personal for me, Combin all the way up to Sarong, what are you expecting Combin to score? How much more money's in the bank there, mate? I would go to Sarong without any hassles there, mate, personally. Janath, are you keeping more faith in Combin or just going, look, you've got the opportunity now, move him on?
Combin at 65s makes another 50K max out. So I think, you could probably move him on. And Sweet should make up some of that money. I know we're very high on Jordan Sweet. We may be higher than some other podcasts, but it's just given the way he played and everything, injury-free, fingers crossed, I think he's going to be a really good pick as a cash cow and an on-field option for us in the coming weeks.
Awesome, mate. Angry Chihuahua, hey, legend. So basically, the question from the angry man is Rao, Sarong, or Merritt this week, Janath? Look, again, it's almost like throw a blanket over these blokes. Are you looking at draw? Are you looking for value? I think value with Sarong, to be honest, mate.
That's a really good point you raised, DR. So value Sarong, draw probably Merritt. But if you're telling me to pick the M1 from now to the end of the season, I'd probably say Rao. He's just so good. Yeah.
How's that? Oh, well, I don't know how much help we've given there, but I suppose angry. That's the way that you look at it. Like, what are you going to prioritize?
What's your gut got a good matchup this week?
Yeah,
very quickly. MCG, Richmond, good matchup.
Yeah, I think it's almost impossible for the best of the best coaches out there to predict, who's going to finish on top out of these guys. I don't think if any of these guys finished on top of each other, you would bat an eyelid. So for me, if you're looking this week, I'm actually going Caleb Sarong, mate, because I've got the same question and the same options, and I'm probably looking at price wise going Caleb, but it's so tempting to go Zero.
How about this, mate? How about this? If you had to pick two of the three, I'm asking for a friend. Who do you leave out?
Oh, probably. It's funny because I'm almost with you. Think Rao could finish the top, but I'm leaving out Rao.
Rao? Okay. Good to know.
No, do you know what?
Add Tom Green. Add Tom Green into that.
I'm leaving out Merritt. Okay. Because I think that Rao is untaggable. And I think that his pure flaw with his tackling numbers could outweigh a bad potential tags game from Zach Merritt, where they might even move him to half forward for a game. So I just think that
Yeah.
Merritt's got a higher chance, and I can't believe I'm saying this, of having a stinker than Matt Rao does, just because I feel that pure contested game and tackling numbers just raises that floor for him. So
Yeah, no,
I'll go
no.
Sarong and Rao, actually, mate. I can't believe I'm saying that was Zerett's draw. That may be nuts. Who are you going to say, mate? Who would your two be?
Well, I'm asking for myself, except no Sarong because I've got him. Tom Green, Matt Rao, Zach Merritt. I can bring in 2 of the 3.
Oh, I would go Green this week. If you're looking this
Yeah,
week,
Green,
purely because of
definitely
that value.
Green, and then 1 of Rao and Merritt.
Oh,
Toss
you're
the
the
point,
professor, mate.
Oh, it's tough.
Hey,
I'll have to sleep on
community,
it.
put
Yeah.
this out to the community in the comment section, guys. Give us a little bit of help. We would really appreciate this. Give us your 3 ratings on those blokes
Right
as well.
now, I've got Merritt. I'm just not like, can I pay $655K for Matt Rao? That's the only thing. If Matt Rao was 630, he's in the team right now.
Yeah. Oh, look,
But
I love the
655 is a
fact that
lot.
I
It
love
is a
the fact
lot.
he's been a successful pick because I think he's such a good player, but I don't think
He's
that
gone below 125 once.
that's
That's
unbelievable.
ridiculous.
Even Abs, right? Who
Yeah.
shout out to you, Skodfather,
Shout
who
out.
was
Yeah.
started him, caught him the weapon. I think he's even jeez. I don't think even Abs could have expected what he has delivered so far. So yeah,
This is
well done
amazing.
to Matty Rao. I think, mate.
Oh,
Team
what's happening?
dependent.
Oh, well, there was a question down, Dia. What was that? How important? Just go down. Sorry, up.
Oh, sorry.
How
There we are.
important
There.
is it to save trades for later in the season? Oh,
Sakaruni.
mate,
Cheers, brother.
Rooney. It's so difficult because it's like you're in the middle of upgrade season. I don't think you worry about future without focusing on the present. So stick in the present. Look at whose value each week, and just work with the times. I reckon, mate. What do you think?
Yeah, look, I would give that same advice. I think,
And
mate. Look,
the thing is, DR, I think the other thing that it says, using a trade now is better than using a trade to go from 17 to 18 in a buy round. That trade isn't worth it. Using a boost to get in a proven cash cow or someone that you forecast to do really well as a primo or as a fallen primo right now will make you more net points over the entirety of the season than getting 50 extra points on your field in a best 18 round.
Yep, love it.
Go
mate.
on, sorry, mate.
Very good advice. No, mate, I was just going to finish with this one, mate. So we've got 2 options here: Williams, Sharp, and Powell out for Dawson, English, and Sweet. Now we've just talked about
The
this
big
English
bombers.
and Sweet situation, haven't we, mate? The other option he's looking at here is Powell, Williams, Sharp for Sweet, Merritt, and Dale. I'm going to say number 1. Now I'm a bit bigger on Dale than you are, mate. I understand that.
Yep.
I'm going to go 1 because you've got Sweet and Merritt there. Fantastic, just wonderful selections. And then you're taking a little bit of a punt here, mate. I like that just mainly because I'm just very against the English and Sweet combo.
Yeah. Agreed. And the thing is there, DA, is that you're bringing in one of the big 7. And I think I always bring it back to that is I feel like you can't go wrong with one of the big 7, mate. Oh, look at this. He went to primary school with Spills back in the day, Connor.
I was
How
just
about
going to
that?
get to that, mate. So shout out to you, Connor
Connor, if
Island.
you got a photo, mate, you got a photo with Spills, we'd like to see a primary school Spillsy.
Yes, Connor. Send one through, brother. We would appreciate
Please.
that. Guys, that is the end of the mailbag for this week. Now, again, apologies. I hate skipping those questions, right? It is like I loathe doing it. I'll tell you what, Janath, that live the other day, I literally had 20 to 30 minutes and I just couldn't bring myself to skip any questions. It went for an hour and 50 and someone else took Maxi to training for me. So I hate doing this. But
big shout out to Lisa, mate. She's done so much behind the scenes as well.
Huge, mate. Absolutely huge. All right, brother. We're going to quickly finish this off with our trades and some captain talk. Now, Spilsy, the great man at the moment, is looking to get. There's a common theme here with Tom Powell. Out Powell and Dempsey, I think. Yep, Dempsey's certainly right for the picking. Sweet. And he's gone Matty Rao. Now, he's already got Zeret and Sarong. Oh, the lucky bugger. He's going to have all 3, I think, after this. So he's paying up big Spilsy, but I'd tell you what, you can't fault Powell and Dempsey out for Sweet, and Matty Rao. Well done, brother. Now, mine are all over the shop here because this is
I don't mind
changing by
it.
the minute here. But what I was originally thinking is
This is
Tommy
good.
Powell.
This is
Yeah,
good.
well, Tom Powell, Cadman, and
Yeah.
Williams to Sweet, Sarong, and Dale. But what I'm
Yeah.
potentially thinking now, and I've only have about 60 odd K in the bank, what I'm thinking now, mate, is to maybe skip your Dale, go for your Rogers,
I
and that will
see.
give
I
me
see what
Trac next week. Very, very quickly on Trac, I was listening to George's team preview this week. He was talking about Trac's lower tog, CBAs were right down last week. So I'm almost getting some cold feet on Trac because
Yeah,
I think
100%.
there is actually a gap. I don't know if you'd agree or disagree. I think there's now a gap between your Rows, Merritt's, Sarongs
Yep.
to your
No,
Petrarcas. And
that's
I'd
fair.
throw
That's
Green in
fair.
there. I'd throw Bont in
Yeah.
there. I see him, and no disrespect, this is going to sound really disrespectful. A second tier Uber is the way that I would
Yes.
go describe
Almost
Petrarca at the moment.
almost a tier off his own in a way.
Yes, that's a great way to just say it, mate. That's a
So
great
it's
way
the
to say it.
big six,
Yeah,
the seventh, and then the remainder.
yeah. So, do you know? To be honest, I don't know. Could I even run with him when you got your steals there? Yeah. I'm not
That
too
round
sure. But
14 by Dia is going to be really tough.
do you know what? I've actually checked
Yeah,
it out. For my
yeah,
personal midfield, it's actually
yeah.
really good for me personally, mate, because I don't have your
Okay,
Zerets. I forget
that's
who
it.
else on the buy, but I have looked into it, mate, and this is why it
You've
was
got
part of my
Gold
plan.
Coast, Melbourne, Essendon, Carlton, Geelong. Because you got Sam Walsh. That's the one now, isn't
Oh,
it?
yeah, because I'd planned for Dawson in this thing as well. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to rethink
And
this,
West
mate. But
Coast. So
yeah,
each of those teams has a relevant plan. When we bring in Tom Stewart in a couple of weeks, Carlton, Walsh, Cripps, Essendon, Merritt, Martin, Geelong, Stewart, Gold Coast, just a bunch of players, like all the mids, those two rookies. Melbourne, you've got Petrarca, possibly Oliver. Eagles, you've got Elliot Yeo, Harley Reid, who at this point may be a keeper. So it's going to be a
potentially.
brutal round, that one. That's the one this year where you're like, at the start of the year, you weren't thinking too much about Essendon and we weren't even talking about Carlton. The team pretty well was talking about Sam Walsh for half of it. Um, Geelong, Stewart,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
West Coast, like no one was thinking about West Coast really as too relevant.
yeah. Very
But there,
true,
here
brother.
we are.
Exactly right. Now, mate, you've sort of touched on your trades pretty much
Yeah,
already, but very quickly, mate, did you want to tell us what you're doing here?
yeah. So this was sort of based on Rowan Marshall being out, and that's the one that I just got to come to terms with. Is okay. I'll see how Jordan Sweet goes. At R3 on the Thursday. If he does really well, Marshall's gone. I'll bring in Merritt. I'll bring in Green. That's locked in. Now, the problem for me is I don't have enough mid forwards in my midfield to bring down midfield into forwards. So I can't bring in Rogers, even
Oh,
if I wanted to bring in Rogers.
yeah. Okay.
So
Yeah.
I'd go, ideally, my trade would be Rogers instead of Garcia, but there's not enough DPP in the team to actually get someone else down into the forward line to cover for Powell.
Ugh,
So I can bring
okay.
in a
Yeah.
McRae, a Doggo, or someone. That's why I was asking you before, mate, what you think about McRae. But you would just go with Garcia and Merritt over a Rogers and McRae, for instance.
I would personally, mate. I would
Yeah.
personally. Yeah. It's you never know if you're going to be right or wrong with these things, do you? But no, I think that would be the case, mate. We're all trading out Tom Powell, as you can see. So who knows if we're right or wrong there? Both of us are trading out Cadman as well. So a couple of similarities there, mate. Just one question before we finish off with the captaincy data is, do you think that it would be, like I could still go, for example, your Sweet Sarong for
Yeah.
your Cadman Powell. Do you think it's worth boosting to get in Rogers this week if I can? Is Rogers boost worthy? That's my question because I don't have to boost this week. I've still got 2 remaining. Would you use one on Rogers this week?
That's tough. I'd see how Sweet goes, mate. We'll give Sweet the E.
We've got the
and
yeah.
and then make a call because I think what's the game? Adelaide, Port Adelaide. Let me just have a look at how the fixture lines are because you need to make a decision before Friday for Williams, right? Because I was going to say Fremantle or GWS play. you can have a look at how Simpson and Jones go, because I feel like Simpson and Jones, if they're both in their 22s, I think will be on par or better than Rogers. But Rogers is going to be a player. I'm telling you,
Well,
he's going to be a player.
I'm keen
It's
on
just
Jones,
super
and that's
coach. Just
so.
yeah.
And I might get into this big discussion now, but there's so much to talk about, isn't there? Right, but that's
Yes.
another reason why I'm skipping Garcia this week, because I'm big on Jones. I know it's only a game, but just from what I saw, I was super impressed, and I think he keeps his spot even when Green comes back. And if
Toby
you look at
Green,
our
Brent
benches at the
Daniels. Yeah,
moment, can we be affording to have both Garcia and Jones there? Like some of these blokes we may have already there may not be ready to cull. Yeah,
that's
so
it. Yeah,
that's another issue for me. For me personally, I think for probably a lot of teams, it's probably a choice between going Garcia this week, knowing that you may have to miss Jones, or taking the punt that Jones is going to get another game. Hopefully, we'll know the teams, and then get another game after that. I'm going to take that punt personally, and hopefully bring in Darcy Jones myself, mate. So
that's it, mate.
thank you for that, brother. That's
Awesome.
cleared it up. So we're going to finish off, mate, as we
With
always do
captains.
with the Captain's Corner. Again, you can check all the Third Man Up data on the supercoachswordplay.com website, or make sure you are following the Third Man Up, Roscoe and Janath on Twitter. But tell us, mate, what are we looking at with captains this week?
Yeah, so I just compiled the top options together, and so there's just some familiar names here. I think Zach Butters. Well, I was thinking he's going to be the captain, but looks like Connor Rosie will get up. But both, I think, all the leaders normally stand up in showdowns. So Dawson for Adelaide, Butters and Rosie for Port Adelaide. Just be very careful with Connor Rosie, because the last thing you want is to ping a hamstring in the first 10 minutes when he's
I'd be
rusty.
staying away from him
I don't know.
personally.
I'm very sus about them playing him.
Yeah.
But even though the data doesn't suggest it, Zach Butters is a really good VC on the Thursday. I really like Sam Walsh as a VC against Collingwood. Really good track record against them. Even though the numbers don't necessarily show, I know that in 2021 he had a monster game. If you remember, he kicked that winning goal and then he had the expletive.
Yes,
he had the expletive going. So
yeah,
there's that. Jack Steele would have been a really good VC option if he was fully healthy. Really hard to pick. Harry Sheasel. Now we know how North defend. If he was a pure defender, he would be right up there as one of the best picks this week. 126 in his last three, and then St Kilda has the easiest matchup for defenders, Supercoach defenders this year. Maxi Gawn, tough to go past him. Look, if Toby Conway's named alongside Reece Stanley, I'm unbothered. He's in just the form of his, I wouldn't say form of his life, but you can just tell that he loves just taking on that number one mantle. And DR, I really hope that next year we don't have any of these last minute pictures and videos of loitering around and Max Gawn injured. You almost got me, mate. You almost got me.
Almost got myself,
you
mate.
almost got yourself.
Imagine.
That would have been overthinking to the 10,000th degree.
Absolutely it would, mate. I think, just sorry to quickly jump in, I think if you're a Max Gawn owner and you don't have him in your loop somewhere, you're crazy. I just think in current form, he's so hard to go past.
Hard.
Yeah. Sorry, mate, continue.
But if you're a Merit owner, that's the thing. Max Gawn and Merit play at the same time. So you've got sort of, I think you go Gawn still, just because of that ceiling, that uber ceiling. And this is one of the things that scares me a little bit about Merit, is if Essendon are smashing other oppositions, will they just take him out and put in the young guns? Durham, Caldwell. It's one of those ones where I know what the role for Raoul's going to be. The role for Sarong. Merit's the one where it's like he's such a good captain that it's almost like he would be willing to sacrifice his role. And he said it before as well, that he's willing to sacrifice his role for others.
He has. Yeah, you're right. That's so frustrating though, isn't it? Like not taking, like you have Zach Merritt in your side. I'm not saying for this week only, but for this week sort of thing, you know, and then you don't captain him or vice captain him. That would hurt so much. That's a big decision for people.
That's it.
Are you going to assume that more people, if you own Zerrett and Gawn, would go Gawn in current form?
I would. in current form.
That's what your recommendation is. I would say that's the same thing.
My recommendation for those that, if you go past that, Sarong or Bont on the Sunday. Sarong, jeez, he's good matchup. I think he escapes the Pickett tag, and he may go to Andy Brayshaw, who's historically played well against Richmond. Because Marlon Pickett's now tagging outside players. Sarong's somewhat of an outside player, but I think Brayshaw's more so the one. And then the Bont, he's going to bounce back. Again, captain after a poor game, he could go big against the Hawks. McGuinness won't tag. In fact, this is one thing, mate. McGuinness, he doesn't necessarily tag defenders, but I know that he went to Nick Blakey against the Swans. So Bailey Dale watch perhaps with that pick.
I'm so out of Dale now, mate. I tell you, I'm so out of Dale at the moment. I was so big on him too.
Objective.
Yes, very good, mate. Very good. You know, I've just realised I can't. I just looked at that because I'm looking to get Sarong in, as you know. I thought going to Sarong every day of the week.
Yeah.
I might not have a loop, mate, because if I'm relying on Livingston, I've got a feeling. Do you know what? Very quickly, I'm going to make a call. Yeah. You'll see Alex Sexton on the team sheet. You'll see his name on the team sheet this week, mate. I'm dead serious. I really think I've got a strong, and this is no inside info, nothing. Pure gut feel. He comes in for Atkins this week.
That's not the worst.
I've got a strong gut feel about that. Yeah. He's been playing really well. We look at his posies in the VFL last week. I think the week before that, he got held over from the VFL, which tells me he is close. So he's been held over. He's then got his 30 plus. They've gone with Atkins. I don't think Atkins did anything at all to write home about. So if I've got a feeling, because remember there was a lot of preseason articles about Sexton Dimmer saying the best is ahead of you, similar to what Fagan did with Daniel Rich. I think there is a strong chance, disregarding players coming back from injury, that Sexton comes in for Atkins this week. So that's the only concern I've got. Hopefully we'll know this.
What about this? VC gone, get 30 minutes of game time. If he's on 60 at quarter time, you take the seat. I was going to ask you that. I was actually going to ask you that. Don't do that. I was going to ask it. Yeah, but remember when Snack Merritt was on 80 at quarter time against North last year, and then he got tagged to a 135?
Yeah. Because I had it. That's why. Well, mate. So, in a nutshell, what are we doing here then, mate?
If Sexton isn't named, Gawn into Sarong.
Yep.
If Sexton is named, Sheasel into Sarong or Gawn. Sheasel into someone.
I don't mind that, mate.
We'll figure it out on the run.
Yep, absolutely, brother. Absolutely. Do you know what? Yep. And last thing I'll say is,
what about you? What about you, Dia?
Well, the only advice I was going to give people is, and I always say this, if you can, try to VC the bloke that you think is going to score the most. Because the worst feeling is you get these 125. So Shees comes out, gives you 127. And then he's sitting there with Max Gawn going, surely he will. But the sensible side of me gives that 125 rule. It's tough. So, yeah, I'm absolutely with you, mate. I will say...
If you don't have a loop, DR, you can't do anything. Like, you can't do that exact thing. So if you want to see Gawn, the only way you can see Gawn is if he actually have the C on him.
Yeah, and look, I think if you no loops, whatever, Max Gawn's the captain for me. So without loops, I probably think I'll be tempted to go Walsh. I think, mate, against the Pies.
For you, 100%.
Yep, I'd go Walsh into Gawn if Sexton does play. If not, it's an easy Gawn into Strong for me, mate.
Walsh, we hit 100K. Carlton hit 100K members yesterday. I expect...
Well done.
I expect that we're going to come out all guns blazing on Friday. And look, we might be let down. I've been let down a lot of times by this footy club in the past. But I just hope that we bring it to the arch enemy on Friday night. Going to be a big
Would you love that? Would you love that, mate? I just want the Lions to give a roar. Like that's
it, mate. Against the Sunnies. Take off those sunglasses, Dimmer.
I'd say that. But all I'll say is Mr. Zorka, if you're listening, don't make a fool of yourself, mate. In another Q clash, leave Tuke alone. Come on, mate. It's just, leave it, Zorks. Brother, I think that's it for this week. Again, we're aiming for an hour and a half. We're at 1:55 by my count. But I think we did the best we could to give some great discussion without rushing through things. And again, for anyone that we didn't get to those questions, do apologise. I promise we will get to it at some stage. Brother, we've launched the website this week. It has been a big one for us. Lots of trade plans coming up. Anything exciting for you coming up, mates, or just general life? Doing your Supercoach as you always do?
Yeah. So it was a one year anniversary on the weekend with the missus, which is exciting.
Congratulations, mate. A lovely, lovely woman.
I know she watches. I've got the bear there for her.
Hey, mate.
Romantic. Learning from the best, DR.
Oh, have you been speaking to Spills, have you? Obviously not me if you're learning from the best, mate. My version of a romantic evening is Lisa, I'll get you a Big Mac meal while you can type out all the data for the stock market for me.
I thought you were going to be talking about the one where you try to get her flowers and you got the wasp stings.
Oh, mate, I'll tell you. I haven't even told you the story about how when I was going to propose to her, she'd got home earlier than expected, almost burnt the house down with the candles that I'd left burning. I actually locked her in the toilet while I could get ready for the next 15 minutes. She was abusing the hell out of me, right? But then it worked out okay in the end. So I've thought, mate, we need a good chat, mate, because, I've got some interesting stories. But, brother, lovely to chat with you again. Spilsy, I'm sure you are listening, mate. Thoughts with you, man. I know you are very busy at the moment, brother, but can't wait to have you back, man. I know everyone's missed you this week. Yeah. No one more than us, because we obviously love to have a bit of a chat. Pre-podcast, up the podcast. You are our brother, mate. So all the best, Spilsy. Thank you again to anyone that has ordered some merch. We really appreciate that. Remember to check out the website, guys. And if you are interested, not only particularly the beanies here in particular, not only are you supporting us, but you're also supporting the RCH as well, which is, I don't think there's any real better cause than that, mate, looking after kids. So any parting words, brother, before we say goodbye?
Yeah, just very quickly again, the website, DR, you'll put in the links and everything. I know you've got that covered. www.supercoachswordplay.com. It's the simplest domain that we could have asked when we're fortunate enough to have that. So, yeah, that's my final words. As always, back your gut in. Whatever you do, go sweet, not sour. And looking forward to the review next week, boys.
Beautiful, guys. All right. Well, thank you very much again for watching. Much appreciated. All the best of luck with your trades for next week. And we'll see you soon next one, guys. Cheers, brother.
Cheers.